So the Hawks now play Tuesday night, right? We got tomorrow night, Hawks and Miami Heat, who, by the way, last year in the regular season, this year in the regular season, and the playoffs last year. You know what the Hawks are against the Miami Heat? They're 3-10 in their last 13 games between these 2 years. By the way, they've lost 7 in a row in Miami. Okay. So here's what I'm looking at with the Atlanta Hawks. Okay. Probably the Hawks go to Miami, they lose. They'll turn around on Friday night. They'll play the winner of Toronto and Chicago. I'll call Toronto because Toronto's at home. I'll say the Raptors, okay? And they'll beat the Raptors, and then they'll get the Milwaukee Bucks, and that won't end very well, okay? Here's the question. Did anybody get better for the Atlanta Hawks? Did anybody play better for the Atlanta Hawks? Was Trae Young, because again, before I get into players, here's the thing we always hear. Well, the Hawks are really young. The Hawks are a really young team and all this and the other. And, they're okay. So if you have a bunch of young guys that start for you, shouldn't guys get better? Shouldn't there be some noticeable improvement year over year? If we're gonna live by the mantra of, oh, well, we're a young team and this, that, and the other, okay, then shouldn't we see player development? Or if we're not seeing player development, we don't have the right players. And that's really what's kind of happening right now. Was Trae Young better this year over last? I mean, his stats are about the same, but he didn't shoot the ball very well. There were nights when he disappeared offensively. Was John Collins better? No, he never fit in the flow of the offense, and hence he's got his second lowest points per game total since his rookie year. Was Clint Capella better? No, he's about the same kind of guy. He's 12 points, 10 boards. I mean, can't argue with that. I mean, he gives you very consistent numbers, but again, he's not taking some big step forward. Was DeAndre Hunter better? Again, DeAndre Hunter scored the most points per game in his career by 0.4 points. He had 15.4 points per game this year. His high was 15. Okay, so can we hang our hat on the fact that 0.4 points per game is better, even though his defensive rating is the second lowest among Hawks regulars at 119? Or the fact that his three-point shot is not as good as what it's been in the past. His field goal percentage isn't as good as what it's been in the past. Did anybody look at DeAndre Hunter and say, that guy took a real step forward? Who took a step forward? Nobody on this team. And I'm not blaming all of this on Nate McMillan. I'm not blaming this on Quinn Snyder. I'm not blaming this on Joe Prunty. But again, this is 2 years running of a Midland to below average franchise where, we didn't know maybe what things were going to be last year, but we definitely had expectations for this year going into the season. Okay, we gave up some draft capital to go get DeJounte Murray. He's an all-star, second team all-defense. Okay, we got a dynamic running mate for Trae Young, and we're going to play him a little bit more off ball, and we're going to do this and do that and all that kind of stuff. And listen, John Collins should benefit because you've got Trae and DeJounte Murray to facilitate, and, all is going to be good. And if Clint Capella can just clean up the boards and this and the other, and, just all kind of went to pot. 41-41. For the year. We had that little 3-game winning streak. We're trying to get some momentum. Then we take on the 76ers on Friday night, and they have a G League team, right? We talked about this on Friday. They put out their G League lineup that they literally had 2 guys that were like in Delaware last week. Literally, like they had 2 players that started for them that were in Delaware winning the G League title. And we still couldn't beat them. And we played our regulars. We played Trae and all that kind of stuff. Then Trae sits out yesterday to rest up and things like that. You know why he's going to rest up? Because Miami's going to beat the ever-living daylights out of them. That's how Miami beats this team. They beat the ever-living daylights out. They way out physical us, but we'll preview the game kind of tomorrow and everything like that. But I asked, did anybody get better for the Atlanta Hawks? We can't sit here and talk about how we're a young team and all this kind of stuff, and then we don't watch anybody get better. We don't watch Collins, Hunter, Young, anybody get better. Toward the end of the year, AJ Griffin hits the rookie wall. Did Jalen Johnson get better? Maybe he got a little bit better. Of course, I mean, he didn't play, but, half the season. So, if you're playing more minutes, you should be able to do some more things on the court. But by and large, did any of the guys that we really are going to count on, Bogey, Capella, Young, Murray, Collins, Hunter, did any of those guys get better that are the real important pieces? I'm glad if Jalen Johnson got better. With all due respect, he's not the reason that we're going to get, this franchise is going to turn the corner. Jalen Johnson's never going to be an all-star. If we're going to turn the corner with this franchise, it's going to be on the backs of Collins, Capella, Hunter, Young, Murray, Bogey, those kinds of guys. This is the reality of where we're at, okay? If you ask me, if I pick three guys, Collins, Hunter, Capella, okay? I don't think that all three of those guys will start the season for the Hawks next year. I don't think all three of those guys will start the season next year. I think one or two of those guys will not be on the roster because of money, because of chemistry, just because this franchise is going nowhere. I'd rather let Saddiq Bey or Jalen Johnson have more of an opportunity and see what they can do than the same old thing of guys don't get better with all of this. This was a maddening season to watch, very frustrating, and we'll see what happens come, tomorrow night, but most likely they'll lose tomorrow and then get the chance to play on Friday for a chance to take on the Milwaukee Bucks, and we all know how that's going to end. All right, after you make Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen, make sure you make Locked On Sports Today your second listen. Biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day available Odyssey, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get all of your podcasts from.